Luke's gospel is often challenging. It's not always hard to understand, but it's often hard to believe, to really let it sink in. Listen to the following passage from Luke's gospel. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. Stop judging, and you will not be judged. Stop condemning, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and gifts will be given to you. A good measure, packed together, shaken down, and overflowing will be poured into your lap. For the measure with which you measure will in return be measured out to you." Okay, this is not hard to understand. It seems like God is saying you will get something if you do something, right? And the thing that you have to do is be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. This is difficult for a few reasons, but I think primarily it's because none of us wants to be put in a position where we might be vulnerable. We don't want to be in a position where anyone can do anything to us that would then require us to be merciful back. And yet God has done this. God has made himself vulnerable to us. God has emptied himself to come and to live amongst us. And boy, did we exceed his expectations for evil, right? Boy, did we really just lay it on him. Here we are in our own lives, though, I think, where most of us just avoid at all costs the opportunity for anybody to ever hurt us, the opportunity for us to be in a position where we would have to give to someone else. Most of us avoid that. The gospel today says, don't avoid that. Don't avoid that, and God will be good to you. God will answer, the call to be merciful to you if you are merciful to others. This is, I think, one of the primary reasons that we don't want to even face our own sin is because we recognize that if we are really and truly sinful, then that is the only way that God's going to be merciful to us. So we don't want God's mercy because it means that we must have been sinful. And if we must have been sinful, that means that we are then required to be merciful to those who have been sinful to us. It's just really hard to come to grips with. Here's what I suggest as kind of a model for allowing yourself to slowly and truly become merciful just as our Father is merciful. Think about a young man who has fallen in love with a girl. And think about the way that that girl's beauty inspires that young man to want to be good to her in a way that corresponds to her beauty. If she's really beautiful, he wants to buy her flowers, right? He wants to buy her flowers. If she is really classy, he wants to take her to a classy restaurant, right? He wants to take her to some place that she deserves. In response to her goodness, he wants to give her something which is good, which is beautiful, whatever. We have to be the same way. We have to recognize that God is great because his own vulnerability in this equation where we sin against him, his own vulnerability has offered the opportunity for us to then receive his mercy. As a result of our terrible sins, which we wish we had never committed, we can now receive his mercy in a way that can make us merciful to others, in a way that can inspire us to love others as we have been loved by God. Amen.